so that you can live up to that vision. You know, because you have a big dream, and then your sense of deserving is all the way down here. The gap is too great. So we have to work on that. There's some forgiveness work, what we all have to do as we move through, because you can't plant the seeds of a dream in soil that's weeded with anger and resentment, jealousy. So we have to, sort of, move that out. And this is, again, a practice. So it doesn't happen in 12 weeks, but we start getting mindful about these things so that we can plant the seeds of our dream in soil that's rich, that will grow it.
Right.
And then we do this bridging work. So there's the gap, there's the fear, there's the gap.
Right.
There's the life and there's the life right
want.
Beyond it.
Yes.
And then there's the gap. So fear, we have to work with fear, right? So
now it's interesting you say we have to work with fear.
You better believe it.
Because we talk about fear a lot on this show because, that's usually what stops people from becoming successful, from building wealth, from becoming, like you said, the person that they were created to be. And so how do you work with fear?
Well, I think the first step is understanding that we're not eradicating fear. Right. Every great dream builder built a dream with fear in their midst. So we have fear, we honor it, we look at it, we understand what it's there for, right? So it's there to keep us safe. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of sweet when you think about it. Fear will come to a broken heart and say, we're going to take care of you. We're just going to take some time, hold back on this love thing. And then you'll be convinced that, maybe you shouldn't take some chances, or fear will come to a broken bank account and say, hey, whoa, let's recoup our losses. Let's just play it safe. Let's cool off. And then you'll be convinced that maybe you shouldn't be taking that chance on right now.
Right.
So fear is just trying to keep you safe. So what we do is we honor it, we understand it, that it's going to be there, and then we get back into the driver's seat. So the key is that even though it's uncomfortable, we do it anyway.
Right. So you learn how to walk through it and know that those emotions are going to come, but you have to keep moving anyway.
Yeah, with fear as your companion.
With fear as your companion.
There's no way to eradicate it.
And see, that's good, because I never heard it put that way. Fear is your companion.
I mean, when you think about the things you've done, whether it's this radio show or all the amazing things you've done in your life, didn't you have it? Didn't you do those things in spite of your fear?
Definitely. Yeah. Yes, because this show was not a part of the original plan. And when it, came to me, because that's what happens, things come to you and you either reject them or you embrace them. And so I embraced the show, and, I have everyone laughing, because then I woke up about 3:00 one morning and said, oh my God, what did I do? I've never been a show host. What am I, And then I had someone tell me, you'll be fine. You know what you're talking about, so just go with it. And so I took that advice, and, as we go, we grow. And that's the thing that we have to keep in mind. As we move forward, we also grow. So
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. I love that, because all the things that have scared me that I have pushed through, I have done because with the fear, not there was never a way to eradicate it. So we do that bridging work, and then we start building. There's a building phase, and we start sort of listening to that still small voice, that voice of intuition, because we're in a practice of listening. We're in a practice of being aware of fear, being aware of forgiveness, being aware of our sense of deserving, and now we start practicing listening to sort of the voice of an inspired voice, whether it's intuition or whatever you want to call it. It's not religious, but that's where we start really building.
Okay. Now, I love the way I can see it, the way you describe what happens, you can see it, and so I'm sure with your clients, they get that feeling, because even in this room, like as I'm listening to you talk, I can see what you're talking about when you talk about, planting the seeds and, getting, the weeds out of the soil so that you can grow, because we, like plants, need the correct soil to grow in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're not the plants that can grow in just, without being attended to. So why would we think that if we want our life to increase and get better, that we don't need to do some things to make that process
Absolutely.
possible?
I love the analogy of the farm, which is, if you plant apple seeds, you're always going to get apples. Right?
Exactly.
So if you're planting seeds of doubt, fear, lack, and limitation, yet it's your dream that you want to bring about, it's the universe is going to bring you more of what you tend to.
That's right.
So I love the analogy of the farm.
Could you say that again? The universe will
bring you more of what you attend to. So if you're attending to and making welcome, lack, limitation, and scarcity, because it's all there, right?
That's right.
I don't turn on the news, but people
I don't
turn
either.
on the news.
No, I can't stand it.
We figure out what we need to know, right? But we don't have to inundate ourselves with lack, limitation, and
fear
and not enoughness, and it's everywhere.
And horror.
It is horror on that news, and especially that local news, Yes. And so many of us do.
We got a little music background.
Sounds
there.
like news music. Is that the Eyewitness News song? But so many of us go to sleep with the news on, and then we wake up and we flip that TV right onto the news. And when we make welcome those images and those thoughts, we're not going to be able to reap the seed that we've planted. We plant the seed of our dream, yet we tend to it with lack, limitation, and scarcity. And so we have to understand that where our thoughts go, energy flows. And so we want to bring to that seed a very specific, nutrient.
Right. I like that. This is a great session, you guys. I don't know about anyone else. There's other people in the room that, the audience can't see, but this is a great session. I love what you do as a coach, because what it does is it allows everyone to know that they have an opportunity to grow. It's not limited. It's not meant for just a chosen few, but it's meant for everyone to grow.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that I've
generated
that energy.
Definitely. Because for so long, as I go and I hear people talk, and, it becomes, discouraging when you hear people say, oh, I'll never get any further than I am, or, oh, this is the best as it'll be for me. Or, they say things like that. And then you think, they need a life coach. But some people think it's an unobtainable goal to even have a life coach. So, let's talk about that a little bit. Like, is it really expensive to have a life coach, or is it, is it something that, a working person can acquire? Well, how does that go?
It sure can be. So if you need Tony Robbins as your personal life coach, it may be a few dollars.
Yeah, just a few dollars.
A few dollars more than maybe any of us have at this moment, but certainly not impossible.
That's
right. But when there's skin in the game, there is accountability.
That's right.
You want to have some skin in the game. You want
Definitely.
to not make this such a value that it is not worth anything. Right. So you need to create value with how you charge and what you're giving. So it has to be in relation to what it is you're providing, but it also has to elevate that person a little bit more in their money sense and in where they're allocating money, because so often we allocate money to nonsense.
Nonsense is right.
Wouldn't it be great to allocate money to something that's going to grow your mind, spirit, maybe body, maybe your vocation? So we have to make some choices. So it's not cheap.
And it shouldn't be.
So you want to create value by setting a price that somebody has to aspire to paying.
Yes.
That said, it's not insurmountable by any means.
I wouldn't want you to, disclose what you charge. I'm sure you have a web, tell us how someone would get in contact with you to find out what you charge or how much it costs.
Right, to have a conversation.
Coach. Yeah, and have a conversation.
Well, you could go to MichelleAkda.com, MICHELLE, and it's AKDA.com. You can certainly do that. I have a YouTube channel, and you're welcome to go find me on YouTube. You're welcome to email me at mishakda@gmail.com, and I have a telephone number, but you'll have to find me on the web, and then you'll get the number.
And then the number, yeah, okay.
So
there's put a little work into
ways.
it.
Yeah,
right?
There's plenty of ways to find me. And
well, that's good. Now, in coaching, and we were talking about the difference between coaching maybe men and women, and how, women, we're, I wouldn't say every woman is submissive, but, we tend to be a little bit more submissive and kind of follow what we're, told to do, right? And so in coaching men, where do you see the difference in coaching men? Or is there a difference?
Well, I mean, if a man comes for coaching, they are coming with an open heart and knowing that it's time to make a change.
Right.
So it's less about the gender roles.
Oh,
really,
good. Okay, that's what I wanted to get to.
And really more about evolution. And it's not about some woman telling this guy what to do, because I don't tell anybody what to do.
Yeah. I wanted to get to that.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
It's not a male-female thing. It's a person-to-person, like I said, partner in believing. And whether I'm a partner in believing with a man or a young woman or an older woman, the energy's the same.
Right.
The energy's really, really the same. There's subtle differences but really
and comfortability.
And I wouldn't want to be, so you have to fit with me too. It's not just I just take anybody.
Right.
If I am in a exploratory conversation, so a conversation before we actually get into a coaching relationship, where we decide whether what I have is what you need, and whether your energy is what I need.
Right.
So I get to decide too.
That's right.
And that's important. So if I'm not comfortable about something, or if I'm feeling an energy that's maybe antagonistic or overbearing, I decide that, this might not be for you.
Right.
And I'm not sensing that it is.
Right.
So to make us both comfortable, let me introduce you to this other life coach. Or so we go with how we feel.
Right.
And it's more about feeling, less about gender or gender roles or anything.
I like that because, it opens you up to more possibility when you take away the limitations. So I don't want anyone to go out and say, oh, because I'm a woman, I need to go find a woman coach, or if I'm a man, I need to go find a male coach, because it really doesn't have anything to do with that. And I think that was the point I was trying to bring out.
Absolutely.
That is more about how cohesive, the joining of the two people are, whether or not that can make it organically grow into something that's going to be beneficial to not just the person who you're coaching, but to you too, because it can't be a chore. It has to be an experience.
Oh, absolutely. And a joyful one.
Joyful experience. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had men and women coaches myself. And I've always really enjoyed the spirit and energy of the men who have coached me, as far as whether it's love coaching or life coaching. And I've definitely there have been different voices, male and female, that have inspired me equally.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I've had male coaches and female coaches and been inspired by both.
Yes. And
just in different ways, or, at different points in my life, or, just wherever my head was at the time, the coach was the right one for that time period.
Exactly.
Because like you said, your coach that's your coach today may not be the coach that you have 5 years from now.
Absolutely.
Or 10 years from now. But, every coach has to organically fit. I think that's the point we're making.
Agreed. And I know I will have a coach in 5 years from now of some sort.